For centuries, there was harmony. The Titans were the guardians of nature.
I'm Tara Hitchcock from Harkins Theaters. We're actually based in Arizona, the largest independently owned theater chain in the U.S., which is
You
where...
have an amazing
Congrats.
voice. Oh
You
my
do.
gosh. Oh my,
Thank you.
it's amazing. Just to get that out of the way.
I'm actually congested, so it's a little raspier, so I appreciate
Even
it.
better.
Appreciate it.
Even better.
Great.
It's working.
You know, let me start with Arizona for a second, because in watching this movie, there is no city that is safe. I feel like Arizona
Scottsdale.
is where it's at. Where
wanna
would
be in
you all
Scottsdale?
live? Yeah, Scottsdale. Perfect.
I'm
Yeah.
going to keep saying Scottsdale.
Yeah. He's probably a fan of Scottsdale.
I have dear friends from Scottsdale. I would go and live with them if they'll have me. I don't know their address exactly.
Okay, well,
If they'll have me. I mean, in general, I feel like that with a guest anywhere. It's like if you'll have me.
Thing happened there.
Yeah.
and so Scottsdale for Dan, where would you live if you lived in this world of Titans?
I think I'd go to one of those like little remote islands off the west coast of Scotland, maybe.
Ooh.
Oh.
You know, the ones that nobody
Island.
knows the name of.
Oh,
They're
like a
very
really
tiny,
obscure-
tiny ones that are like little,
Yeah.
just kind of scary, really scary, remote, isolated. You won't come with me?
No,
Is that what you're saying?
absolutely not. I feel like I'd live somewhere above ground, like in a hot air balloon. Like, cause like
Oh.
they're
nice.
literally like I said that when I watched it, I was like, there is nowhere safe. Like Godzilla takes one step and it's a state. Like it's like you destroyed
Yeah.
a state. So I would just live above in like a Zeppelin. I think
Yeah.
a Zeppelin home is probably the safest place because then you can see what's coming. But yeah, I don't think anywhere on the ground is safe.
I've got a great visual right now, and I'm actually thinking about a movie for that. You living in a Zeppelin.
My
community.
character Bernie, for sure,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
Zeppelin
Bernie
it
and the
makes
Zeppelin.
it tracks.
It
Like
makes a
that
lot of
makes a
sense.
lot of
Around the
sense.
world in 80 days with Bernie.
With the three of us. I would.
Oh,
Oh my god! Like, take note if you watching.
Dan, your character Trapper, I mean, that entrance and the soundtrack, I mean, just the soundtrack
Yeah.
alone of this film is so much fun. I'm curious, since we are in the middle of baseball season and spring training, I'll start with you, Dan. What would Dan's walk-on song be?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. What
Oh
would we
my
go for?
god!
I mean, that Trapper track, what is it called? I got you.
What is it called?
I don't know what the track is called. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Great.
I'd stick with that.
Yeah.
That's gonna stay with me, that one. What are you going for?
No crash.
We played Welcome to the Jungle a lot while we were
Yeah.
in the jungle.
Yeah.
That's a
I'm
good
not saying
one.
that
I'm
that
still
has to
thinking
be
yours.
yours.
I need to
Yeah.
hang a minute. Wait, have you got
Yeah.
one? You got one?
WAP.
Oh.
WAP. Out and WAP. Yeah, it just creates a vibe that you know exactly where I'm at.
You know who's coming.
You
Yeah.
know, it would be WAP. Yeah.
Obviously, the fights in this are incredible. In your opinion, what makes a great fight between Titans? If you're watching this on a big screen.
When they team up, like watching them team up is really, really cool. Like I'm not giving anything away because it's in the trailer, but when you see Godzilla running, and you see that there's cardio with Godzilla and Kong, like, and they're just like running with, I'm like, what is going, it's like, it's insane. Like I remember watching that and I was like, I can't believe A, that Godzilla's arms work, and B, that like that they are running side by side. Like it's like that
Doesn't he,
arm.
like,
That,
he like ride?
yeah, like he
rides
jumps
at
on
one point.
Godzilla and oh my god, I was like,
Yeah.
Story
"Whoa."
though, isn't it? That makes a good fight. It's story. It's because the fact that you can see their expressions
Yeah.
and understand what's going on.
And that they've
'Cause if it
chosen to
was
team up.
just-
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a whole like narrative happening.
That's why it's Godzilla and Kong.
That is very effective.
You want that in the show?
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. I feel like a Harkins Theater might be the only place that you're safe after watching this movie. In every city, nothing's really spared. In your opinion, if you lived in this world, where would you live?
I'd probably live in a bunker deep underground, far away from any major cities, especially any with iconic locations, because they tend to
Yep.
strike there first.
Always thinking. Brian said he'd live in a Zeppelin above ground, which I thought was
Hey.
a clever.
Got to get up pretty high. These guys are tall, but yeah, that's a good idea.
That is very true. You know, with obviously it builds up to, there are several epic battle scenes in this, as in the first one. But at the end of the day, there are some very simple moves like the old sand in the eyes trick. And I'm just curious, when it comes to an epic Titan battle, what are your must-haves to make it great?
You know, I think when it comes to the battles, it's all about the drama, because the special moves, it's really fun to get things like, there's a suplex that Godzilla performs in this film, which is super crazy and fun. But it's less about the actual moves and it's more about the drama of who's winning and who's losing. I'm a big fan of the Shaw Brothers martial arts films from the 70s. And I just always love the way that those action scenes were structured and the build up to the fight. In some ways, the build up is even more exciting than the fight itself. And, for instance, in this film, whenever we introduce Scar King, it's one of my favorite sequences. And I think that we build up Scar King even longer than they fight in the scene, but that's the part that's really exciting and, gets your blood pumping and you get more and more excited. And, yeah.
Speaking of new things introduced, we get basically a baby Kong in a way. Looks can be deceiving. He's adorable at first, and you learn very quickly not so much. What went into creating I don't even know what to call him, Baby Kong.
Well, yeah, in the movie, his name is Zuko, but yeah, like they
Right.
refer to him as Baby Kong. And it's funny, it's like whenever we were developing this film, it wasn't too long after the whole Baby Yoda craze had started. And so I obviously didn't want to follow that, but the shorthand that I always gave people when we were developing the movie is that Baby Kong is sort of like if you took Baby Yoda, but he would bite the skin off of your face. He's a tough little guy, and he's got some tricks up his sleeve. So he's a complicated little fellow. He's not just straightforward and cute, even though he is adorable.
As all kids are, they're all complicated. Yeah.
They might not all
You-
bite the skin off your face, but they'll
I hope not. Yeah, that is true. I had the pleasure of talking with you on the first one. I still cannot believe that was your first big movie. Besides knowing Gia better and working with green screen now, what was the biggest difference for you between working on the first one and this?
There wasn't a lot that was too different. The storyline, of course, is different, and we have new characters and new monsters. But I think the big thing is that I develop a more relationship with these different monsters, and especially Gia as well.
It's interesting when we first see her in this, she really feels out of place. She is just lost. When was the last time you felt out of place?
I felt that many times before, Sometimes I feel like I can't make those connections in places and I have to work my way through it, but then eventually I get there.
How do you do that?
Like Gia in the movie, she is patient and she kind of prevails. And in the end of the movie, that's where she finds out where she is a part of.
What is that?
The stakes are so much higher in this movie. And you mentioned the relationship that Gia has with the Titans here, the monsters here. You have to feel just a special bond with Kong in general, just the character.
Absolutely. I look back at Gia and she is able to communicate with Kong and make those connections with Kong and the monsters and the humans. Gia is such a special character in this movie. And I think I'm so lucky to be able to act as her and be able to connect with all those monsters.
We've made some minor augmentations.
Oh,